Of course, I come from a Christian country.
You say that there is a little manipulation in the Bible, things like that. Whereas actually the whole of it is manipulation, not just a little bit.
Food is medicine. Let the food be our medicine.
When you look at a human being, you cannot separate him, also her, from the nature, which is where you live, the environment, no?
How much do you know from the people here, or the way how they live, how they think about life?
If you look back to when you came and where you are now, what would you say is the reason that make you to leave Netherlands to Indonesia?
Like I said, in Netherlands, I grew up with people from Suriname, so they were more. Well, Suriname had black people.
Actually, in this podcast, we say we go in-depth conversation.
And I say the only purpose that you have in life is to have as much as possible experience. Well, I'm original from the Netherlands, and I'm living in Southeast Asia for the last 25 years. I was always into sport from young age on, and by 16 I started lifting weights. And when I did some coaching after my competition years in the Netherlands. In my 30s, I did already some coaching with people in Netherlands. And when I moved to Asia, people came automatic to me in the gym because, well, I was fit, muscular, big guy. So they come ask me advice, and or I could help them in the gym. And then I moved from Bangkok to Vientiane, Laos PDR. And there people start to really, more and more come to me, and they really want to coaching. And I was full-time busy before I know what was going on, because I had still a company on the side. So then I make my choice. I like what I'm doing. And because I had a lot of country directors, diplomats, the high-end, the organizations from the UN and everything. So they also start to ask other questions beside what you do in the gym about lifestyle. And then I start to do little group sessions once a week with my clients, where they could ask me about what they would change beside going to the gym, beside doing 3 sessions or 4 sessions, what they could do more to be more healthy. And that is how I jump into lifestyle coaching with my fitness background. And now these days, I do some spiritual aspect in it, and laws of nature. It is not one thing. You must always try to find out where is the pain point. It is not for everybody the same. And so you must really talk with people and then listen between the lines. And mostly they don't say it. Mostly they not even know where the trouble is, that they don't feel good, energized, why they don't sleep well, and why they have so many medication. I mean, most medication, I would say, are metabolic disease, and metabolic diseases are lifestyle related. And of course, nutrition is a big impact on it. And it is not that you can eat any product that is produced in the factory, but you must just find the balance. And for most people, there is no balance. It is either one or the other. So I think even with some of the people that think that they eat very healthy, for sure the people that are vegan or vegetarian, then I'd say many people maybe don't eat enough fibers, but I certainly don't believe in leaving out whole food groups, right? From, oh, you must not eat that anymore because it is not good. Now these days also gluten, and gluten is just an amino. It has its function in our diet. Only if you have celiac disease, okay, then you're a different story. and that most likely can also heal by lifestyle changes. But if we go back to basic and less as possible factory produced, less as possible genetic manipulated, just get real what nature give us, or religious
All
people would
right.
say what God gave us. Well, that's the same.
Are you religious yourself?
No, I'm spiritual. So I don't like someone tell me how I should uh, believe, or what the story mean. So
Essentially, you create your own story at the end of the day.
uh, the thing is, of course, I come from a Christian country, and my parents I was very young when they stepped out of the church and didn't go on Sunday and stuff like that. But in the last decade, I learned a lot that what we learn about the Abrahamic religions a little bit manipulated. And for sure, with the Bible that most people use, a lot of editing in it, and a lot of stories that they didn't put in the Bible, and maybe different interpretations of what was really said. And so then I was from let me go deeper, and I like to see all religions. And living here in a Buddhist country, that is totally different. There's no pointing finger up from it must be like that. I like it when monks were coming to the house, because my wife is really in the Buddhist religion. And when she was asking questions, and then the monk was more or less saying from, if you are there on this moment, then that is what is true for you right now. When you develop more, when you learn more, then maybe your understanding will change, and then your truth will be different.
So nobody's like trying to force you to accept anything. Anyway, I like also your point of view. You are very conservative. You say that there is a little manipulation in the Bible, things like that. Whereas actually the whole of it is manipulation, not just a little bit. But anyway, that is okay. That is another conversation.
Well, I want to keep it nicely, right? We don't talk about it's just a side step about religion. We will not discuss. I don't want to step on people's toes. That is
It's
for another
okay.
story. For other people that are more into this subject.
That is fair enough. That is fair enough. Now, you were also making mention of medicine, chemical medicine, and things like that. So,
Yes.
where do you link to? More like a natural medicine and things like that?
Yeah.
Remedy?
I would go for the saying from food is medicine. Let the food be our medicine. And you can see that in Asian food, the Chinese in the past, they would use ginger as a medicine, and now it is used as an ingredient in many dishes. And garlic is also, in the past, it was used as a medicine. And I'm also part of a multi-level marketing company, and they make the supplements really on the health prosperities from roots, flowers, seeds, and then they try to isolate which part. Let's come back to ginger. Which part of ginger is actually beneficial for our health, and then they create a supplement that only have that part in it. But supplements are also, I mean, supplements is like the word it say, right? It is a supplement. You don't start to replace your normal food with all kinds of supplementation. So as an old bodybuilder, yeah, I was taking my protein shakes, because if I must have all the protein that I want to have just for my food, then probably my calorie intake would be too high. So then I would gain unwanted weight, fat. So protein drinks and powders, they have the place, but I learned now also over the years that 50% from protein supplements are contaminated with heavy metals and stuff like that. So if you then get too much from it, then you also infect your health. So you must really learn to read labels. if you don't read your labels, then and don't know what it means, what the label said, then you get the wrong nutrition.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, that is also with sugar. I mean, sugar, I always, people say, yeah, we need sugar. Yeah, we need sugar, natural sugar, like from a palm tree sugar or honey and what is just in fruit, natural, or even in other products, what is natural available, we need. But if you think that we need the processed white sugar that is in the bag, no, that is not what we need to stay healthy or for anything. Uh, in most food products, it is two reasons. One, because preservation will be longer, and second, it will be make you more addictive. So you want more. Sugar give in your brain the same reaction as many hard drugs, and they also create a pet that you want more. That's why they always say it is so dangerous to be curious and then try out something and then you hook. Of course, it is, in my experience, not about the first time. But then again, I think it also depending on people's character. How strong are you in your shoes?
Because now, yeah, that is important now. Because if you don't try out things, how are you going to know what they are? Because if you don't know, you are going to base your assumption on what people tell you. So, yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Totally. Well, I'm original from the Netherlands, like I said, and we in my youth we were still a very liberal people. Now it seems to be changed a little bit. But yeah, I try out many things. And in the late 80s, in the 90s, the dance scene came up with all the DJs and the electronic music. And then the party drugs, ecstasy. Well, I would say in the early days it was more pure and not all kind of unwanted chemicals in it that are not so good for the body. But I also did find out that if you set your mind right and you are with the right people, you have a nice group of friends and the whole sphere, the whole atmosphere in the club or where this party is right, that will give you the energy. So that's why I say I look for more things. We humans, we are actually, or everything is energy. And for sure, we are energetic beings. So we drive on group participation. You can see it with a protest. A protest can turn bad if you have a couple rotten apples in it. Then in no time, you get one more, and before you know, the whole group is aggressive and turn violent. It can also be the other way. When you start, they did testing with meditation, and you had a decent amount of people that were meditating for compassion, for peace, and they could measure that in this region where all these people at the same time were meditating about peace and compassion, crime rates were dropping. And I'm not sure you know, but each thought that we have in our mind create energy. It come in the let's say atmosphere around us. It doesn't disappear. Energy doesn't disappear. So I believe that everything is one, and for sure here in Buddhist they talk about that everything is one, everything is connected. That's why they so that they don't want to kill animals and because everything is life and you never know what this animal was before. Maybe it was some of your forefathers or whatever. Anyway, with reincarnation. But
Do you believe in reincarnation? But anyway, also for the fact that everything is one, I think that is something that is pretty much heavy on African spirituality, in the sense
uh,
that we believe that
hmm,
everything is the same, everything is one. In
yep.
fact, when you look at a human being, you cannot separate him, okay, also her, from the
Hmm,
nature, which is where you
uh,
live, the environment, no?
uh,
And the environment now, we mean everything, including the animal, the air, the land. So you are
hmm,
essentially part of it. You cannot be separate
yep.
from it. Because if you are
No.
separate from it, you are an abstract. You are not an
Mm,
abstract. You are a whole. You are the whole of it. You are the word. So
mm-mm.
maybe you can also explain that part, looking at it from the point of view of Buddhism. What are you learning in the East? Because now you are coming from the
Uh,
West, you are learning in the
yeah.
East. But I'm also telling you now that that is the same philosophy
Mm.
that we have in Africa.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm pretty familiar from that. I follow some speakers that are into this really deep, and they say in the Western world we lose a lot of our knowledge that they have in cultures like the African cultures, in South America, in Asia, probably also the indigenous people from Australia, the Aboriginals and stuff like that. They all have similar stories that are suppressed in the Abrahamic beliefs. But even there, so even that's why I say the Bible is, they don't want to get too much attention to certain things that doesn't fit the narrative, right? So I even heard a rabbi talking about that in the Torah also talk about reincarnation. Even in the Bible, they pointed that it is standing there. And I'm not someone that study the Bible. I just go for people that do that, and they say, no, it is here in the Bible, but people don't want to know about it. So if it is in the Bible, then it is also in the Quran, because the Quran is, let's say, an offspring also, and they make different people in the stories important. But yeah, so I think that from old cultures, there are enough things in that we from the West, and for sure people that only get out of the West when they be on a short holiday. But for me, living 25 years, and here also for the UN, there were many Africans. I had a lot of clients that came from different parts of Africa that I coach in different aspects. So I learn a lot from that. That is very interesting when you get out of your little box. And with Mind Valley, there you have the owner from Mind Valley. He was talking about the word rules. So it's a make-up word, of course. It is not a new English word, but it is bullshit rules. Right? So then you can say rules if you don't want to use strong language. And everybody learns certain rules from living in his own little neighborhood, in his own environment where he works with his friends, and take them for true. But they are only true in that little environment, in your little village mentality. If you move to a different village, different rules. So then the rules are not really true. They are bullshit. Otherwise, if the rules were really true, then they would fit in everywhere, right?
That's so true. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That is how
So
you know. That is how you know. Because sometimes we are called upon to also investigate. We are not just supposed to consume everything just because they tell you. Think a little bit. Because by the time you start to think, you begin to see that they just fall apart. And I think you are so right that they are really like bullshit. That they are makeup.
yes,
But they are
yeah, they
makeup
are
so that
makeup. Yes. For me, I grew up in Netherlands, and I bless immigrants. In this case, it were from old colonies. So people from Suriname, South America, and many Indonesians after Indonesian independence. Many had whatever reason that they came to the Netherlands. They bring a lot of good things. For sure, the food. I was not really a fan of the traditional Dutch food, but also a different way of thinking, because they all came out of different cultures. And Indonesia, so many islands, then now we call Indonesia one country, but it are actually all different countries that are combined to one after the independence. They make a union, right? And so you learn a lot of new things, and I'm open to that. The same here where I live now in Laos. Many minorities, even with different language and stuff like that. So uh, I love that. And also when you was talking here with some young people, and then I come with things, advice from my knowledge, and then they say, yeah, we're going to do it like that. I said, no, it will not work. You must listen what I say and then see what you can implement here in this environment, in this culture. You cannot just copy paste what was working in Netherlands because the people have a total different mentality. So they maybe can grow to it if it benefit them well, but if they come out a total different way of thinking and total different lifestyle, then you cannot just copy paste something that was good in a country like the Netherlands or Germany and then implement it in somewhere in the Africa jungle with a tribe, or in Asia or in South America. That will not just work. There are
But
total different.
that is what the European colonialists did in many all across the world. That they created all this confusion that we have now. People are confused; they don't know what to believe, what to stand for, because
Yeah.
when they entered into this land, they didn't make an effort to understand. Of course, they couldn't understand it because it take a lot of time to understand. They don't have the time to understand it because you need to study it, no? So they just wipe out, clean it, just implement
Yeah.
what the idea that they were coming with from Europe. So it basically messed up people. And that is a wrong way of interaction. Yeah.
I think in the West they still have a little bit this colonial attitude when they. I see it here sometimes when from some help organization they come here and they directly want to tell how and what, and then I say, is this your first station outside of your country? Because how much do you know from the people here, or the way how they live, how they think about life? You must take that in consideration before something will work out well.
Yeah, that's true. It's only because there is no so much time on your part. We would have been able to explore some of these questions more, particularly in those areas relating to Buddhism. And okay, like it's often said in Africa, everything is connected to everything. You cannot just treat a particular argument in and of itself. It's usually related to other things. Because just now you were talking about colonialism. We could explore that a little bit and then come back again to maybe spirituality, and then go back again to what you learn. But anyway, what you learn is becoming very important, and that's where I'm going to ask you. So you are in Indonesia. So what do you, if you look back to when you came and where you are now, what would you say is the reason that make you to leave Netherlands to Indonesia? That is what I'm saying. What are you looking for?
That's I learned that the difference is only skin deep, right? Like I said, in Netherlands I grew up with people from Suriname, so they were more. Well, Suriname had black people, and Asian people, and some other imported there. That is a whole mixed society. And then I grew up with Asian people. But living in Asia, the Asian people in Asia, they know right away when Asian people come from Europe because they already adapt. So I always say, if you are on the same income level and have a little bit the same lifestyle, then it doesn't matter where you come from, because you have the same desires. You want to have your Mercedes or your BMW, your Rolex, and your Louis Vuitton, and whatever brand names you want to have for jeans and stuff like that, because we are brainwashed, right? We watching TV and all kind of things, and then that is how we are set to love certain things. What is good for us, which brand is good for us, what we should wear, how we should think. If you live in a different society, then that changes. So I always tell also my clients, what do you have, a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? A fixed mindset is that whatever you did learn, how you grow up, and you think that is right, and you are open for change. If you have a growth mindset, then you always want to learn. You always want to develop yourself. I think living life to the fullest is having a lifelong learning process.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, because we need to grow up. We need to learn. Because if we refuse, I think like Carol Dweck was saying in the fixed growth mindset, if you remain where you are, you will never grow. But you need to know that we are very malleable in our mind. It is not even natural for us to remain in a fixed mindset because we are never fixed from the day
No.
that we were born to when we grow up. Because for people to understand the cruelty of that, try and take the clothes that your mom sewed for you when you were like 5, 6 years old and wear it. You can't enter that clothes. You can't
No.
enter that anymore.
Mm-mm.
Try and think back to the same idea you were having when you were in kindergarten, when you were in primary school. You have changed.
Mm-mm.
Things have changed in you. The cells in your body continue to adapt to different, because it is in our mentality that we don't want to change. But in our bowel functioning, it's more advanced than our mind, or maybe the way we want to condition our mind. They are changing. Because if it is cold outside, you didn't wear cloth or you didn't wear enough cloth, the system in your body will get a signal and they will react because they want to keep you alive. It's so complex. So to think that, oh, this is what I know, it's going to remain like this forever and ever, amen. It is not natural. It is not normal.
So when you say from childhood and stuff like that, we are programmed in the first 7 years is already set most of the basic from how we go into life and how we approach life. But I learn now also from a new science, well, it is not that new, but lately it get more popular, epigenetics. And epi mean from above, so above your genes. So when people say that certain disease or discomfort that they experience, that it is in the genes, and that is not true. You activate your genes with your mind. So in Buddhist or actually in spirituality, meditation, sometimes take time to silence yourself. It doesn't. So many people in meditation always say you must silence your mind. No, you must not silence your mind. You cannot silence your thoughts. You have so many thoughts that coming on and off. You must just not give attention to it. Right? If you're in a big shopping street, then you also don't give attention to every person that pass you. You know that all these people are there, but you don't give attention to them. It would drive you crazy.
That's so true. All right. So, Tommy, because of time, what will be your final thought here to conclude this conversation? And I hope that maybe later in the future we'll be able to come back again for the conversation, because here in Obehi Podcast, this argument that we are talking about, we could spend hours talking about it because we need context. We need to be able to explain them, and we really go deep here. Actually, in this podcast, we say we go in-depth conversation.
Okay.
But for now, we are doing this short one. Yeah. How do you want to conclude it?
Well, for sure, let's say first, I would love to come back and have a real conversation that we can go more deep into it. But to end this conversation, then it is from don't take yourself and life too serious. You have now many in the new age people, the younger generation that want to go somewhere and they start from what is my purpose? And I say the only purpose that you have in life is to have as much as possible experience, different type of experience. So people say we are energy beings that have a biological experience, because the things that we experience as a human being and biological entity, we cannot have as a spiritual being. So have as much as possible different experience and don't let you guided by bullshit rules.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, Tommy. And it has been a pleasure here. And I believe that those that have listened to this point in the conversation, they got value from it. Yeah, that is true. So if you got any value from it, let us know in the comment section. And of course, if you want to learn more from Tommy, you can reach out to him. So Tommy, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you for your time. And well, let's do it over again and then a little bit longer.
Definitely.